They say talk is cheap. Anybody can talk. Everybody talks. But very few people speak. There is a difference between talking and speaking. What is that difference? To speak is to talk with a relevant message. To speak is to talk with a solution. When you talk and add value to your talking, you're not just talking, you are now speaking. That's why we don't have motivational talkers or guest talkers. We have motivational speakers, guest speakers, conference speakers. You must know that speaking plays a very vital role in your success, and you need to learn how to start adding value to your talk. The moment you add value to your talk, you can get paid. Anybody can speak in public, but very few people earn from speaking. What this course intends to help you achieve is to help you move from that point where you can start earning from speaking. When you are not just a public speaker, you are now a professional speaker. So we're going to look at a few ideas, a few strategies. But first of all, let's look at the various kinds of speakers available. It's important you know this so that you know how to position yourself. You know what kind of speaker you would like to be or what kind of speaker you are. I'll start with the first one. The first kind of speakers we have are motivational speakers. Who are motivational speakers? Motivational speakers are people who, according to the name is motivation. Motive is a combination of two words, motives and actions. Motives, strong reason, actions to do. So a motivational speaker basically speaks and gives you strong reason to take action. It gives you hope. He finds stories, strategies, principles that can encourage you to take quality actions that have success consequences. Now, anybody can be a motivational speaker in your life. Your parents, your teacher, that favorite teacher of yours who taught you chemistry or physics, or that teacher of yours in secondary school or in your nursery school who inspired you. It can be anybody. Your pastor can also be a motivational speaker. But there's such a thing as a motivational speaking professional or a professional speaker. Who is an MSP or who is a motivational speaking professional? A professional in any career is someone who is recognized by an existing body of that industry or is paid to do what he does. So we have professional comedians, right? Don't we? I mean, there are folks who are funnier than Alibaba and Basket Mouth, but you don't consider them professional comedians because they're not paid to crack the jokes they crack. Or let's look at footballers. We have people who, if you go to the field in your area, you notice that there are some smart guys who play football so well, but they don't do footballing or they don't play football professionally. So they don't earn from it. They may be more skillful than Okocha or more skillful than Messi or dazzle the crowd like Ronaldo or better than Ronaldo. But as long as they are not paid or recognized by a club or by FIFA, they are not professionals. In the same vein, as a professional speaker, you are recognized by certain bodies. It could be anybody. I don't want to mention their names so I don't advertise. But basically, there are speaking bodies around the globe of the world that enables you, that recognizes you as a professional speaker. All right. And also, you can also be said to be a professional speaker when you are paid. When you are paid. Now, let's talk about payment a little bit here. When you receive an honorarium is a special gift given to you by your host or your principal discretionally. All right, so you have given a speech, or you had a speaking engagement somewhere, and at the end of that conference or summit or seminar or meeting, your host or principal gave you an honorarium, a gift, a discretional gift. There's no figure attached to it. An honorarium does not make you a professional speaker. A professional speaker is one who is so organized that he has his own speaking fee for his own keynote addresses. And so he will charge you and then you pay him that amount. So there are other kinds of speakers we have. I'd like to talk about a talk show host. Are you a talk show host? Or are you drawn towards that kind of style of speaking? A talk show host doesn't do too much of the talking. What the talk show host does most of the time is so much of the accent. The talk show host usually has a guest, on television, on radio, or in a room where he asks the guest questions or she asks the guest questions, and then there's a response and there's interaction with the guest in front of the camera or on radio. The talk show host doesn't really have an opinion. The talk show host, most of the time, is one who is asking the question. Are you a talk show host? Example of talk show hosts we have Oprah Winfrey, Jerry Springer, and many others that you can know. Steve Harvey. All right, so we have what we call the MC. Are you driven towards that kind, or compare? The MC is the master of ceremony. Now, the master of ceremony basically makes sure that the event runs smoothly. Sometimes it's humorous, other times it's not humorous. Basically, the MC is supposed to make sure that the event runs smoothly. And like I often would say, that to be a good compare, you must focus more on honor than on humor. What kind of speaker are you? There is such a thing as a facilitator. Who is a facilitator? A facilitator is someone who doesn't do too much of the speaking. Now, you usually have facilitators in conference meetings, in small group meetings, in corporate organizations. They're having sessions in their executive board, or they have staff meetings, and then that's where you probably would need the services of the facilitator. He usually guides meetings. More often than not, he's directing the thoughts of the audience. He's not necessarily imposing his knowledge on them, but guiding them through a process. He uses games, simulations, he uses icebreakers, role-playing, multi-voting, and every kind of technique to facilitate the meeting, such that at the end of the day, he has not imposed his knowledge. The audience or the participants of that conference are learning for themselves. You could do an icebreaker or an activity or game, and after they're done with that game, they deduce lessons from that game. Facilitation is very powerful. So have you chosen that part of a facilitator? Are you a keynote speaker? Who is a keynote speaker? Now, the term keynote speaking is not relative to any particular speaking style. So you can be a motivational speaker and give a keynote, or you can be an MC and still give a keynote. Okay, so in events or weddings, you would have somebody who would give a keynote of that event, or a keynote speech, who highlight the topic and talk about it. The keynote speaker could be the chairman of the occasion. The keynote speaker could be a motivational speaker who does maybe 5-10 minutes, sometimes 1 hour, does sharing thoughts. Have you chosen to go that way? Now, there are different kinds of speakers we've explored, and there are many more. We have spoken word artists, we have comedians, we have pastors, we have lecturers, we have teachers. These are various kinds of speakers available in the speaking industry. You know what you want to do first of all to start to see the business side of your speaking profession? You want to first and foremost identify who are you. You know, the first way and the fastest way to become whatever it is you are, you must first know who you are not. Who are you not? You know, many years ago, I used to think that I would do wedding emceeing. I would want to do wedding, I want to compare for weddings, and because I had a flair for relationship talks. But as I grew older, I realized that that was not what I was called out for. I didn't have so much interest, and I wasn't even having speaking engagements. And here's a tip for you. Try to stay in an area where you have the competitive advantage. So I chose wedding emceeing at some point, and I wasn't getting the kind of result I was supposed to get. And I switched over to something else, training and capacity building, and I started getting more results. So choose what you are and just decline and move away from what you are not. That's a very smart and smooth way to begin in this journey of the business of public speaking.